COTA and Atlanta, recapping the last couple of weeks. We missed out last week in Atlanta, but we are here to recap both of the races over the last couple of weekends. Welcome in, Gavin. Say hi to everyone for a sec.
What's up? It's our first time doing a double, if you will, podcast, doing 2 weeks in one. So this will be a little bit of a longer session, but we're definitely fine with that.
Yes, sir. So we're gonna get right into it because our memory isn't the greatest of Atlanta. That was 2 weeks ago. They were at the 1.5 mile superspeedway. You knew it was going to be intense going in. We were kind of interested to see how Kyle was going to do, given not the greatest super speedway racer. However, we'll get right into that. So it was a triple header. Cup, Xfinity, and Truck started out with the truck race in the morning. The races were actually pretty collected. The Xfinity race was a mess. Truck race was all right. But I'm sure by now all of you have seen Josh Williams and him parking the car. That was a great scene.
That was definitely the highlight of the weekend.
Yes, for sure. So KB didn't run either of those. It was just our series favorites. Nothing too big to talk about, just any other weekend in that sense. But as for Cup, we get into Sunday where everyone saw the Fords. I think the Fords were like 1 through 10 or 1 through 8 in qualifying. So you knew they were going to be strong. And right off the bat, they were. Everyone was kind of just learning how it ran, taking it easy the first stage. And then I think there was a couple of wrecks in stage 2, or was it after? You're going to have to recap that.
Well, Bubba spun on lap, I don't know, it was real early, before lap 10, wasn't it? Nosed
Yeah, it was
it.
Now that you mention it, it was like lap 3. He was right next to KB.
Yeah, that's how I remember that.
But gladly enough, Kyle was not involved. It was just Bubba hitting the wall. And 2 weeks in a row, he made some mistakes and was a little harsh on himself. I hope that everything is well in that camp and he gets to regroup soon. But yeah, the Cup race, KB actually survived, made it through, and rallied for a top 10 at the end, which was a good day. Kept the car clean. Nothing. You give him those cars. Anytime you're not getting thrown around, body slammed by the impact, that's good. So Atlanta wasn't too much for him. I think he did speed. Did he? He was a lap down at some point.
Yeah, there was a. Well, I don't remember. I don't think it was speeding. I think it's just because of when they moved the commitment line for pit road, it kind of just messed everybody's day up. That was actually having a decent day because guys were going laps down and weren't really able to get back on the lead lap at the right time, and it kind of just messed up. And Kyle wasn't the only one. There's a couple other guys that did the same thing.
That's right.
I'm hoping they kind of take into consideration of moving the line where it should be.
I remember you mentioning that before the weekend, and I didn't think it was actually going to happen, but they did do that. So that was interesting.
Stupid.
Everyone going like 50 miles per hour on the apron, but they're the best,
I mean, I can see how it's safer.
I can see why.
Same time,
I can see why merging 3 and 4 is not good.
I could see why it's I could see what they mean by it being safer, but I don't think it's good for you got everybody going a lap down. This doesn't make any sense.
I mean, you saw it looked like they were crawling. I mean, say you could move at 65. It's not going to be like you're drifting off if you're someone without downforce, but just a little bit faster, so it's not the exact same as pit road, maybe.
Yeah.
You're going to have to. Oh, yeah, that's right. So, Keselowski was up front the whole last part of the race, had a really fast car. I was hoping he would get the win. And our friend Logano passed him on the last couple laps. Made an impressive move and rightfully got that win from him. So it was a good battle. I'm glad everyone did it fair. There was clean. There was no wrecks. Eric Jones with the run of the century.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was crazy.
So it's about all we could ask for that weekend. You know.
Yeah.
Anything else on Atlanta? I mean, that was kind of a quick recap, but our memories aren't the greatest of those.
Well,
It was just a lot to take in, and
I do kind of want to
after COTA, I don't remember much.
I do kind of want to backtrack for a second to the truck race and just kind of like uh, touching on how solid of a day KBM had for. I mean, they were up front like almost the whole race, like top 10, top 10, top 15 is like a pretty good spot to be for the kind of race it was, and then they were able to both get up there when it was time to go, and the typical product of super speedway racing kicked in, and then as soon as I thought Jack Wood was going to get his first win, he gets
I remember.
punted by Nemechek. But I do want to like kind of say like how impressed I was with like their performance overall, because typically in a speedway race the KBM trucks will be out fairly early, or usually in the first big one. But they're, like you said, I mean, there really wasn't much, like nothing major happening in the truck race. I mean, it was a pretty clean race all the way through. There was like a couple wrecks, but I really don't recall there being a big one or anything like that. It was for the most part, it was a pretty clean race, and the KBM trucks did really well.
Yeah, I think Purdy got a top 10, right? I think he was like
Mm-hmm.
8th.
Yeah, 8th. But I mean, yeah, that's really all I have on Atlanta. In the Cup race.
Xfinity.
What was it that happened in the Cup race that like towards the end, was it uh when Harvick spun? But I don't.
Chastain's bumper, yeah.
The thing is, though, I
He
watched
didn't
the
touch him.
replay. Yeah, he didn't touch him. It was all like arrow, but Kyle
Yeah.
was in the back, like everybody was trying to avoid it, and Kyle spun but didn't hit anything or anybody. That was good for him to, be able to bounce back and get a top 10 out of it.
Yeah. Anytime you go to super speedway, you just hope that he doesn't wreck, and that's what we achieved. So
I wouldn't mind finishing 20th with a clean car.
they were real smart too. They didn't speed.
Honestly.
They kept it clean on pit road. Car was fairly good on handling all day.
I remember that
he was out front for a little bit.
I remember Randall kind of saying to him all day, like pretty much every time it was time to pit, like preaching to him. And even Childress came on the radio a couple times and basically said, if you speed, your day's done. So
Yeah.
don't speed. Well, his day was done pretty much after he went a lap down there on that last cycle. But it was interesting for him to be able to come back and get a 10th out of it.
Yeah. Atlanta, I give about an 8 out of 10, just because the Cup race was fairly cordial. There were some wrecks, but nothing too big. Nothing that it was like pushing too hard or causing issues between certain drivers. And yeah,
I'll rate Atlanta. I'll give Atlanta a 6. I mean, I don't think it was a horrible race, but at the same time, I didn't like the winner and didn't like watching the Ford 400.
Yeah.
But other than that, though, I mean, really wasn't much to complain about anyway. But typical speedway race.
Yeah, so that's going to recap Atlanta. We're going to swing right into COTA. That was last weekend. We have a very good memory of that race.
Yes.
KB ran the double header. He ran the truck race as well as Cup. He was in the 51 Zaris Transport Chevrolet Silverado. That's a lot to say, but qualified up front. He was in second, right next to Chastain, so you knew right off the bat he had speed. He was P1 in practice. He fought the whole first stage with Ross. Ross was really fast as well, and you just knew it was going to be between them. I think the strategy was a little mixed up. Chastain decided to pit earlier. KB was more on the long stints, doing better in tire wear and gaining time. That could be due to Ross maybe making an improper adjustment, but KB's just better on tire wear. like Lewis Hamilton. No, but yeah. So the first stage, there was no stage caution, so that also threw a curve in it. There's some cautions, and some decided to pit, deciding on stage points or not to. And KB was in the middle, but he was in front of the guys he needed to be in front of until about the second stage. If you want to talk about what happened, I remembered, but what's your take on KB deciding to stay out and overrule his team?
I mean, I say pretty much Kyle threw his own race away at that point because what's the guy's name? I'm sorry, I'm having a tweak moment. Brian Patty tried to get him to come in, and he didn't come in, and it basically just like not pitting when Brian wanted him to pit. This kind of messed everything up on the cycle, and we did pit. We fell 5 seconds behind Zane, and we're kind of looking good on lap times towards the end. Like we were kind of catching him, but it just wasn't. It wasn't enough. I mean, he wasn't going to get there, like in the amount of laps that were left. But he pretty much. I mean, and then the interview happened, and then everybody got upset about the interview, which was just stupid because of who was being interviewed. But basically, the fans flipped out because Kyle said in his interview he got lucky today because he didn't pit when he was supposed to. He decided to stay out and see what would happen. Was essentially hoping for a caution that never happened. So
no, he was hoping the caution wouldn't happen. He was staying out, and then the caution did happen, and he was the only one that didn't pit.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. He was running in the lead. He had like a 15-second gap to like the next guy, or like maybe even like 35. Like it was pretty big. He would have still been the leader when he came back out. However, caution came out because he stayed out 3 laps over what Patty said. Patty said to come in like 1 lap, and Kyle said, I can run a couple more. And he was fine with like 1, maybe 2 more, but he ran the 3rd one. And then the caution came out. Everyone else had pitted, and he restarted like 15th. Got back up to like 5th or 6th in like a lap, maybe 2. And Zane just pulled out real quick. KB was matching his time, so once he got to about 2nd, he was like 6 seconds back, then he was 5. Kind of stalled out there, and he just was hoping for anything to happen. Then on the last lap, Ben Rhodes' drive shaft falls out. Of course, couldn't have happened like a lap before. But Zane Smith got the win, and then proceeded to burn his truck down. So good for him. That's a 2nd win this year, so he's on a hot streak already.
And second consecutive win at COTA too.
Yeah, all 3 for the 38 so far.
Yeah,
KB still hasn't. Hoping for that truck win one day, but it'll come. I hope. Yeah. Xfinity.
Hopefully.
Xfinity was a pretty good battle. There was some road course ringers, Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs. You just knew we were going to be fast. Creed was impressive. Just some of the parity in that race was interesting to watch. Allmendinger was spun around in the race, dead last, and fought his way all the way back to the front. Punted Creed for the lead, but then pulled away and won. So it was a good race.
Yeah, I watched the highlights from that one. I didn't catch any of that race at all, but I saw the highlights, like the 10-15 minute highlight.
Sometimes that's better than the whole race.
I would have rather watched Atlanta highlights than the race itself.
You want to kick off COTA?
Yeah. So going from the bottom 2 to the top, going into Cup, very interesting race. Both good and bad. Kyle started the race in the 9th position, and he was kind of running top 10 for a little bit, and then just kind of like as the race went on, started to struggle, started to become like a 12th to 15th place car, and I was starting to wonder like, oh, this is really going to be a snooze fest, because usually when that happens at a road course and he's back there running with everybody else, it's just not even worth watching. But with all the cautions and stuff we had, especially at the end, which we'll get into in a few minutes, Kyle got a second place out of it, which was very impressive. The crew did a good job. Adam, or not, wow.
Oh,
Wow, ouch. Randall. You know how many years I've been saying Adam, so I'm still trying to get used to everything.
Ben. What
But
about Ben?
I'll forget him.
Yeah,
That was a miserable season.
couple.
But couple, yeah. But no, poor Jimmy on lap couldn't even make a lap because coming out of one, I don't know if it was Brad that got into somebody or somebody got into Brad. Something like that happened, and then somebody came all the way back across the track and got Jimmy, and that was very unfortunate because it literally ended his day. There was not even any hopes of repairing the car to get back out there. It was just done for.
Yeah, our favorite guy, Ty Dillon. I heard a
Yeah.
stat on Fox that said he finished last like 5 of the last 6 races or something. But yeah, that was tough seeing Jimmy out. I was hoping he would have a good day, at least get to race with some of the F1 stars and Jordan Taylor. But he was watching the race from the sideline. He's going to be back for Coke 600 in a couple months. That's tough. We have to wait that long. But
Yeah, I'm literally in the middle of private DMing him and tweeting him, trying to beg him to run over, or at least something before that, just because of what happened last week. Like, he didn't even make a lap, which is very effed up.
he needs to run Sonoma as home track.
Yeah, Sonoma would be nice too. But it's pretty much been confirmed that Charlotte will be his next race, unless something does get put out there, but I doubt it.
Yeah,
because those two races were announced together.
Yeah, that cup race was pretty interesting in terms of strategy. For the long part of the race, even though there was no stage cautions, there were some crashes, some stoppages. However, the strategy was still mixed up. You had guys fuel staying out stages. Reddick was odd man out, trying to gain time, and in the end, he still got the time back. He got out front and pretty much had an easy couple of restarts, even though it would have been a nervous scenario to have been in next to Kyle. He just pulled away, and I didn't think Kyle had much for him at the end.
Nope. There's like one or two out of the 4 or 5 restarts at the end where I thought Kyle would actually be able to get by, but as long as the track is, though, if Kyle were to get by him, it would have been like only for a matter of time before Reddick would have got him.
I literally just wanted him to keep his position in second, not get run over by the one behind him, and he didn't. That move where Bowman got slammed into Suarez, and
did you
it was
see
Chastain's
where
fault. Kyle was right next to that. He just turned out.
Did you see where Kyle got body slammed by Chastain going through the S's?
Yeah, I remember that.
That's why Kyle called him out.
I was waiting for him to pay it back. He doesn't.
No, he's too respectful. Like, he's literally I've noticed that everybody that's chiming in, listening to a Reddick interview at the end, I think it was the media center one, where he said Kyle's like one of the very few guys left out there that will race you that way, will race you hard and clean without having to run you over for the spot. And like, a lot of people
don't see it that way.
A lot of people just have flashbacks of Richmond 2008, which is, how many years ago was that? And Kyle's
15.
done a lot of maturing. Yeah, he's done a lot of maturing and through the years and has gotten better. Like, yeah, he went through there was a time in his career where, he did race that way too, would run guys over. And I feel like everybody's been in that stage, but at a point you got to get out of that. And some guys just are never going to learn. Logano, cough, cough. Chastain. But I thought it was hilarious.
Now his teammates upset with him, so that's going to cause problems. I wonder how long that goes. I'm interested to see Richmond, our first short track of the week,
I'm
first
curious.
short track of the year this weekend.
I'm curious as to how that team meeting went this week.
In Spanish.
Yeah.
Suarez said, "I don't speak English this week."
That was very, very eventful at the end, and Kyle had an interview with one of the reporters on pit road and literally called out Chastain when Chastain was literally right next to him. That was hilarious. That was the best part about it.
Kyle moves him out of the way if he's in the way this weekend.
I hope Kyle hits both of the Trackhouse cars out of the way. They're both bums.
I think this week is a good chance for KB to be back on top. It's Richmond. It's one of his favorite tracks. I was watching all his wins over Cup and Xfinity. Some good days back in Nationwide Series. Z-Line, Monster. He led every single lap a couple times.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I was watching a video where he led every lap at Richmond, and Bestwick went on to say the last guy to lead every lap and win a race at this series was Kyle Busch at Phoenix.
Yeah.
So
not very many people have done what Kyle has, especially in Xfinity.
Yeah. So I'm hoping he's driving the 3 Chevrolet this weekend. That's black number 8 on board.
My favorite paint scheme. My favorite paint scheme.
So we're hoping for good things. One thing I wanted to touch on in this review is the penalty on Hendrick. What's your take on that? They got the points given back, so they're back up front in the points. KB lost 2 spots during the week without a race. That's fun.
My take on it is I think NASCAR just wastes their time handing out penalties to Hendrick because every time they appeal, they win the appeal. So there's not.
Dude, the whole racing motorsport is just penalties last year. Everyone's bitching at each other. It's annoying. F1's complaining about jewelry and then clamping down on this rule, that rule. Can't climb on the fence. You can't do this. Team guys. NASCAR's doing the same thing, handing out penalties to Hamlin off his podcast.
Yeah.
You know damn well they're not going to do anything about Haley's penalty. He's just going to sit there with the point deduction. Hendrick's got a solution, right?
I just don't understand how there's even a penalty in place when...
I want to know the kind of shit that's going to go on when Haley doesn't get the points back.
Why do the teams have to be punished?
It's the exact same team, exact same scenario. It has to be.
Why are the teams getting punished, though, when they don't even build the car? That's when I don't even understand. It's not even right.
Yeah.
Like, there should be... But
they know best.
There should be no penalties, I don't think, like, period, because it's just getting more
I agree
stupid.
with the Suarez one. Doing that on pit road wasn't the smartest thing at all.
I mean...
I saw one of his hits was right next to official, and that wasn't smart at all. So he deserved what happened there.
I saw the official on pit road going like this, like stop, and then and it wasn't only like I would have understood maybe if he came up to him like maybe before they came on pit road, gave him like a tiny.
He wanted to find him. He wanted to find him the whole lap, and he couldn't because he was in like 27th, and Bowman was I think top 10.
It's just a problem though when you're already on pit road and you come up to him and you're not only pushing him a little bit, but you're boom boom boom.
What needs to happen? These drivers need to get out of their cars and handle it like men. If they're gonna fine them for doing stuff with their cars, let's be honest.
But just imagine though if
and then they're gonna get fined for fighting. Like you can't have any personality, any emotion. You just have to do your race. Whatever happens to you, F it. You're just supposed to walk away after the race with no emotion. That's what the officials hope. That's what NASCAR wants to see, right?
Just imagine though, like if Bowman's car would have spun out, dude, and all these people standing there on pit road, that could have been really bad.
Like, dude, I want somebody to get out of their car at Richmond, and I want that Kyle Vegas spirit in 2017. It's man on a mission. Harvick says he likes fights. Maybe he'll instigate something. He won last year, and
But
he got his win taken away at Phoenix, wasn't he out front until the caution came out?
yes, he would
So
have won the race if the caution wouldn't come out. But that's one of the last guys I want to see start a fight, though, because he never takes his helmet off. It's never interesting.
maybe Ty will push the wrong guy. Noah,
Yeah, Noah, yeah.
that'd be money.
Or
No,
like the 2014 Texas brawl where Harvick just casually comes in and shoves Brad
yeah,
into.
no. I don't think three guys would be mad at each other. Denny gets dumped, and he's just gonna say thanks for the podcast popcorn.
That was one of the best years though for fights, I think, like in a while, 14. And
Yeah.
Brad had like 5 or 6 guys mad at him in 2 weeks.
Well, I was watching his 2012 run where he was actually avoiding everyone else's mayhem in that chase, and won in the championship. It's on NASCAR's YouTube. It's like a 3-minute video on his championship run. It was pretty interesting because I don't remember much of that year. Kind of refreshed my mind. Jimmy was real close to winning that championship. He needed to win the race, and Brad had to finish 16th or worse. And Jimmy fell out of the race with a blown engine, so he was out. Brad was going to win it anyway. But if Jimmy won that race, Brad had to finish 15th or better, and he made the pass for 15th with about 10 laps to go. So he felt so relieved that he finished 15th, and no matter what, if Jimmy won that race, he still would have won the title. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that I miss the old format and points.
So do I.
I absolutely hate the grid now because it's just dumb. I mean, it don't matter how many races it literally comes down to the last week. Whatever, the first 35 weeks don't
Yeah.
matter. You get down to the last race. If you make the final 4, then you have to win the race. You pretty much have to win the race.
All
Has
it takes is one team guy to empty out the oil overnight,
has
and
there
then start the race on Sunday.
if I'm not mistaken, has there still not been uh, a driver to win the championship in this format without winning the race? I don't think there has yet.
Not yet, not in Cup.
And I don't think it's no, I don't think it's ever going to change. I just don't like it
No,
because I like the old format because every week mattered. Not it's
I
not
like the
like it is.
points aspect, strategy,
Yes, yes,
just
me too.
fighting your butt off for 10 weeks, seeing where it comes down to the last 2, maybe 3. I just thought
I
that
just
was real
don't.
fun. My cousin has a DVD set of the 2007 chase of like all the full races. It's pretty awesome. You could look at on boards and stuff. So that was my favorite year.
I just hate the new
Jimmy had a
format
pretty good run.
because I hate the new format because it's like you get down to the 10 weeks and you either have to win one race out of each round or finish like top 5 in every race through the rounds to hope to be able to have a shot at Phoenix. I just
Yeah,
it's boring. Like I'd rather be able to build points through the year.
absolutely. KB's looking pretty good in terms of owner points right now, and given the playoff points that get awarded, driver points as well. He's in 4th. He was in 2nd after COTA, and then the penalties that Hendrick got given back. They're in
Yeah.
first and 3rd, so now Kyle's in 4th. But it's real close to the front. Still plenty of weeks to give it back, and
Yeah.
we're gonna head to Richmond, watching the short track highlights right now. Richmond Radioactive, where I believe Hamlin won the first race. So, any last words, Gav, my man?
No, I think that's it. Um, hopefully we're back to recap a win here in the next couple days.
Yes, sir. I think if I recall, the 8 had a strong showing last year with Reddick and Randall. I'm excited to see what they can tune up this weekend. The only problem is I think it's going to rain tomorrow morning for practice. So if it gets canceled, then we're going to go straight in the race again.
Yeah.
Xfinity is going to be fine at 5 in the morning for me, but not at 6 in the morning for Cup. It's going to rain, so that's fun. Why does the important series have to? Never mind. No. Y'all have a good weekend. Enjoy the races. Enjoy Cup. Truck is also in Texas, so catch that. It's always fun to watch some Southern racing. Hope Purdy can control that. KB only has Jack Wood and Purdy this week. He's going to be up in Virginia. So we hope you all enjoyed. We'll be back next week. Peace out.